It's November 22nd, 2024, and I'm sitting with Mr. John Jeckovich and we're reading his book called Their Mother's Sons. Mr. Jeckovich wrote this book over 25 years ago. It takes him from 11 years old through high school, through taking care of his mother, from being drafted active duty in World War II on the front line, the Battle of Bulge. He got shot up, beat up, stabbed, you name it. He's been through hell with the World War II. Frostbite, trench foot. Went to the hospitals in Paris for 3 months. Once his injuries were band-aid up, 3 months later, they says, squeeze your index finger.
Lost a hip.
Lost a hip. What the hell else could go wrong? And they basically said, squeeze your index finger. If you're able to squeeze the trigger of a machine gun and you're able to walk, even though you're bandaged up, what did they say you were?
Fit for duty.
Fit for duty. You went right back into the snow.
Yeah.
25 or 30 degrees below. And that was it. And you stayed there to the bitter end. And, 16,500,000 young men and women were into World War II. We lost a lot of them. And today we only have in combat vets, these are the actual guys on the front lines, we have less than 6,000, we have less than 6,000 of these combat vets left. They're in their late 90s, early 100s, and we're losing them at a rate of 150 men per day. So do the math. If you have any questions for Mr. John J. Jeckovich, text me at 407-366-0000. Text Mr. Jeckovich at 407-366-0000 with any comments and questions, and Mr. Jeckovich will be happy to answer them. Before I open the computer, Mr. Jeckovich, what's your dog tag?
420965.
Okay, that's the code to get in. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion. Water? Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, 2nd Battalion wait a second. There's too much damn cigar smoke in this room. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion, 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. We're finishing up on chapter 21, Mr. Jeckovich, and this is titled Engaged in Wedding Plans. I think if I rush through this thing, I could put this chapter away, and then we'll be on the newest chapter, which will be very interesting. The newest chapter would be chapter 21, and that's titled Back Upstairs and Christmas.
Back upstairs at Christmas.
So let me, you want to read a few pages?
Huh?
Do you want to read a few
No,
pages?
go ahead.
Okay, let me try to speed read a little bit because I want to get to that chapter before our studio time is up. Delphine appeared reluctant to suggest any place for what I considered to be concerned about the cost to what she felt, and she would not be able to contribute much. She related that she had not saved much during her period of working. Where did Delphine work?
Grants, WWII grants.
Okay. As gave most of her earnings to her parents. Is that what mostly people did back? They gave their earnings to their parents?
Yeah.
You ever see that today?
Yeah. No, you don't see it today. No.
Oh, the stingy bastards. And what was left, she spent on clothes for herself and incidentals, such as bus fare to and from work and lunches and snacks. I thought it was selfish of her parents to take her meager earnings, but said nothing. My own situation was somewhat similar to hers, but I thought mine was more justifiable as my mother was without a spouse. During World War II, you spent something like 75%
Yeah,
of your earnings monthly to your mother.
yeah.
Is that what it's called, earnings? What do they call it?
Assistant earnings.
What's that?
Assistant earnings.
Okay. The small musical quartet was tuning up, and I had not noticed, but the dining area was becoming crowded, and the din of talking was becoming increasingly penetrating. We had finished our dessert, and we were on our second cup of coffee. Did you drink a lot of coffee?
No.
Did you,
I didn't drink coffee then. I didn't drink coffee in the
did
service.
you drink a lot of coffee?
My mother drank coffee before the morning, yeah.
Do you still drink coffee today?
No.
No. Okay. Let's see. Having resolved most of our prenuptial logistics, we sat back and enjoyed the atmosphere of the quaint little inn we had found. Delphine was enjoying herself, and I was, as was I. And we kept telling each other how fortunate we were to discover this place. It became our safe haven, and we would talk and discuss our future, at the same time feel completely relaxed. We vowed to come back as often as possible. The quartet struck up, and we walked out to the dance floor along with several other couples. "You're the prettiest one on the dance floor," I whispered, holding her close to me, noting the smallness of her waistline. We danced well together, and strangely I did not feel stranger of our movements, and they seemed to just evolve naturally and gracefully. We stayed at the inn for several hours, and it was dark when we finally left. True to our promise to return, we did just that, going back there several times again before our marriage and even after. We always enjoyed its atmosphere, about how we found it for the first time. The inn finally closed down in the 1960s, and we never returned to that particular area that held so much joy and memories for us. On the drive home, Delphine became quiet and somber, and I inquired as to what was troubling her. "Do you think I will make a good wife and a mother?" she asked, almost disconcerted in asking the question. I took her hand and kissed it. "Of course you will. Don't be concerned about such things. They'll all work out great. You'll do just fine. Stop worrying." I said in the fullest confidence that she would fulfill her dual role as wife and mother to the fullest, and that would be the least of our concern. Was Delphine a good cook?
No. My mother trained her.
Your mother? Okay, your mother taught her. She snuggled up to me and put my arm about her. "This marriage thing isn't like what you see in the movies with all its glamour and fantasy." She agreed and added that this was not what was concerning her. "It's just the enormous responsibility of a whole new life," she sighed. "It's a big change, and it's going to take me a while."
That's when she's moving from Buffalo to Niagara Falls.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big change. It's funny, everyone wants progress, but no one wants change in life. "Welcome to the adult world," I blurted out, reaching over and kissing her on the forehead. "Do you want a large wedding?" I asked, more to say something than the secret information. "No, not really," she responded. After seeing my sister's large wedding, I wasn't impressed. Now, if you don't have a large wedding with the reception and the wedding party at night, where do you want to hold a small wedding? I inquired, completely ignorant of the entire subject. "Usually you have it in a small hall or even a home," she suggested. "But I'm not too familiar with too many of them. As a matter of fact, I've never gone to a so-called small wedding." "Well, we've got 5 months to figure it out, but I must say we've gotten a good start on it tonight, and I enjoyed it immensely." It was fun, she agreed cheerfully, and a year from now will look back at it and be amused by all of it, how naive and unsophisticated we were. Will I see it tomorrow? I ventured, seeking to change the subject to something less complicated. 3 days in a row, she demurred reflectively. What will your mother think? Do you want to go there tomorrow to my house? Just so soon again, I asked, catching her by surprise. She thought for a moment and then stated it was too soon, as we were there the other day and did not want to wear out our welcome. I agreed and brought up the proverbial question, where do you want to go? She did not hesitate. Well, to tell you the truth, you'll pick me up after work about 6. Remember, a little after 6. Let's go to the movie and then for a snack, and by then it'll be time to go home. Boy, I'm glad when we're married.
18 minutes.
What?
18 minutes.
I'm glad when we're married that we won't have to go through this every time we want to see each other. So that was getting hard.
Yeah.
You had to figure out something every
Yeah,
day.
you gotta do something different all the time, yeah.
Driving back and forth. Yeah. She smiled, amused at my candor, at the same time realizing the segment of our relationship was drawing to a close and would only be a memory. Among thousands of small events that would engulf our life, it was a special time. She thought one that would not be repeated in her lifetime. She did not have any special events in her short life of 22 years, as she was the middle child and was related to a secondary status, with her older and younger sisters the favorites of the family. Although she never resented her standing in the family hierarchy, she felt estranged and learned to cope with it as best she could. I followed Route 78 out of East Aurora, heading north until I came to Depew, and then I turned left on Broadway, following it to Coons.
Yeah.
Is that where Delphine lived?
On Coons Avenue, yeah, off of Broadway, yeah.
It was a long drive, and we finally reached Delphine's house around 11 p.m. I pulled up in the front of the house, making a U-turn, turning off my headlights and ignition, and leaned back my head against the rear of the seat. Delphine was quiet most of the way home, and as I took her hand, I asked her if she had any regrets about anything. Don't be silly, she sighed. Why would I even think of such a thing? I'm only kidding, I responded, putting my arm around her and drawing her close to me. Do you want to talk some more about the wedding plans, or have we discussed them enough for one night? I asked her, anticipating her response. Let's not, she suggested, which surprised me somewhat. But I was in agreement, as I had enough for one night. I'll do some thinking about it during the day, and we can continue with it the next time we meet. I will have some other ideas then, she promised, leaning her head against my shoulder. Tomorrow night I will see you the last time for a while. You know I'm going to on the midnight shift for 7 days. You didn't like midnights, did you?
Yeah.
No. Midnight shift for 7 days, and you know how much I dread that. I laminated, shifting around in my seat, trying to get comfortable. I placed my hand on her silken knee, moving it slowly. The touch against mine enamored and kindled me with a passionate desire. Okay, let's see, we'll miss this, we'll blank on that, we'll pass this. Fourth floor. Okay, the car windows were misted up and it became quite cool outside. I began to remove the moisture from the front and side windows. It looks almost as if we were wiping away my old life and giving me a whole new life, she whispered, as she watched me remove the moisture from the windows. A clean slate, a new beginning, I said confidently, kissing her on the cheek as I leaned over to wipe her side of the window. She took the cloth from me and began wiping the moisture from the window almost symbolizing in part our mutual undertaking of the near future. With that, she seemed to perk up and remark casually, where are we going to live? She had caught me by surprise. In a few seconds, I could think of nothing to say. Wherever you want to, I finally blurted out, which was the first thing that entered my mind. You know, your mother has an upstairs apartment, which would do very nicely for us. It was almost the same arrangement with my parents had with my uncle, who lives upstairs. I was flabbergasted at her remark, and the first thing I thought of was, has my mother been talking to you about that? She only smiled ever so slightly and reached over and kissed me. Don't get emotional about it, she murmured reflectively. I did not want to make it too much about it and only remarked that I thought she did not discuss the marriage anymore tonight. She dismissed my comment. Instead, she inquired how long it would take me to fix up the apartment upstairs in some sort of an appropriate manner. I don't know. I really never thought about it in that light, I responded, feeling a little awkward about the entire conversation about the apartment. You know how long did it take to fix the apartment up?
Upstairs?
Yeah.
About a month.
You did a nice job?
Yeah.
You did all the work yourself?
Put new rugs and everything, yeah.
You did all the work yourself?
Yeah.
Did your brothers help?
No.
No. You know, we only have 5 months. It must be accomplished in a short time. She remarked, her skirt rising above her knees as she crossed her legs. I brushed aside her comments, drew her to me, and began to kiss her. Let's see, miss, no. Okay, pick it up here. It's getting late, she whispered, taking my hand. I better go in and have to get up early in the morning. I walked her to the side door, kissed her, and said I would see her tomorrow morning. I'd see her at the store tomorrow. So she got off at 6,
Yeah.
and you pick her up there, right?
Yeah. Take her in the back door. I said, I'm not going to pick you in front, but all the girls come out.
Okay. She thanked me for the wonderful time tonight and stated that she was glad that we talked at length about so many things relating to our future and promised she would have some ideas tomorrow. On the way home, I reflected what we had talked about, and almost as most significant was Delphine's suggestion about living upstairs. I was completely perplexed about it and mystified by her disclosure of it. I wondered how much effect Mother had on Delphine's decision. I did not want her to be influenced by Mother. All that day, while everyone was out, I sought information on honeymoon spots for the winter period and collected several brochures to show Delphine that night. I also decided to talk to Mother about some of our plans when I picked her up from work that afternoon. I would not discuss the aspects of living upstairs until I was fully aware of its ramifications, but most of how Delphine felt about it. Okay, I saw Delphina's plan that night, and after a snack at the local Your Host, you went to Your Host a lot.
At the restaurant.
Yeah, we went to a movie. I do not believe either one of us was absorbed by the movie, as our thoughts were elsewhere. I had brought along some information on vacation spots for the winter months. As we had our snack, we went over them. We settled on 2 locations, the Adirondacks in the upper part of the state and the Poconos in the south and eastern Pennsylvania. Which one did you go to?
Poconos.
That was the best, right?
Yeah.
We liked the idea of separate cabins in the Poconos and a main dining area in the central lodge. So you have your cabins here, then you have the central lodge for a nice dinner. That's a good setup. Yeah, that's a good setup. As we discussed it further, we decided I would write for more information and see what developed. Leaving Your Host at about 9 p.m., we drove around a bit, but wanted something better to do. She was getting to the point of becoming very weary of the constant shuffling about, using it as a vehicle to see each other and being with another. So you had to do a lot of running around.
Yeah.
Yeah. We wanted a more stable environment instead of its instead of its constant moving about. So you're always on the go.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that wore you out. We enjoyed the Reds, the Red Inn, and the Red Devil, and the times at the Glen Casino, and the picnics at the beach at the parks. But it was the constant preoccupation of where to go so that we might be together and talk and enjoy one another's company. That was intensifying as we progressed through our courtship. I guess what we're saying was that we're ready to settle down to a normal wedded life and concentrate on more mundane issues like setting up a house, looking forward to a family of our own. We were not much for the social life. Rosalie would ask Delphine if she wanted to go out with Eddie and her. How was Eddie?
Eddie was an automobile freak.
Was he a nice guy though?
Oh, he was a nice guy, yeah.
Did he work on cars?
Huh?
Did he work on cars?
No, he didn't work on cars.
Did Eddie have a nice car?
Huh?
Did Eddie have a nice car? Did Eddie have a nice car?
Nice car?
Yeah, did Eddie?
No, he had a second-hand car.
He just liked cars though.
Yeah.
After touching up the issues as we drove about, Delphine suggested that her job, which she enjoyed at times, was becoming trying and felt she wanted to get on with her life and pursue other avenues. In any event, we were ready for a new life. The question was uppermost in her mind was how much would we have to compromise and interact with the forces outside of our control. We stopped in the front of the house about 11 p.m. and the first thing I mentioned was that tomorrow night at this exact time I'll be walking down Packard Road to work and we'll be doing the same thing for the next 7 days. So Packard Road was where Kimberly Clark was.
Yeah.
You worked there for 35 years and your car tires never seen that parking lot.
No.
You walked every day for 35 years.
Yeah.
Snow?
Rain, everything, yeah.
What would you do in the rain?
Huh?
How would you walk in the rain?
With an umbrella.
I'll be damned. So your car tires never seen that.
No.
She said she would be thinking of me at the time and wondering what she would be doing all the time when I was working. I'll miss you terribly, she sighed, putting her head on my shoulder. I don't know how to get through the lonely days and nights before I met you. Yes, being lonely is a terrible thing. I venture to thought bringing to mind my mother's plight. Minutes, please? I'll call you during the week, say Wednesday, Friday, and maybe I'll come up early Sunday for a couple hours. I suggested...
7.
Huh?
7.
I suggested, somewhat flustered and perturbed at my working conditions and the circumstances I was having Delphine experience. What do you call Delphine? Where'd you call her from?
Station, Grand Central Station.
Okay, the train station.
Yeah.
Okay, and you must have had a big wad of quarters.
Yeah.
Payphone take a lot of money to make long distance.
But I only talked 2 or 3 minutes, that's all.
But it was so expensive compared to today.
But then, yeah.
It would have to be a lot simpler and more gratifying if I had a job that entailed more normal hours and not even considering the job satisfaction aspects of it. Delphine would sense my frustration and would suggest that I'd seek more suitable employment, but it was always the same conclusion. What and where? We did not talk much about it and only attempted to work around it. But it was always there, taunting and deriding our lives in time for now and into the distant future. She would quickly change the subject and cheerfully state that she had given our future some serious considerations and had arrived at some definite conclusions. The February wedding date is settled, preferably toward the end of the month. She reiterated excitedly, I don't think we should have a large wedding. Instead, we should have a small reception at my house with only about 10 to 12 people.
You see, the guys at work were pissed off at me that I'd have a big wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So where was the wedding at?
Huh? But the wedding was small.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. With only about 10 to 12 people, and then leave directly after. She went on becoming more elusive and resolute as she continued. I took her hand and held it, wondering how I'd get through the next 7 days without seeing her. How about the honeymoon? Where shall we go? I asked, curious to see what she had in mind. I liked the idea of a cabin retreat in the mountains much better than the bustling city atmosphere. She responded, waiting in anticipation for my preferences and remarks. I agreed with her and was delighted with what she had said. I only questioned a part of having a small reception at her house, but she assured me that her parents would approve of it. I've already talked to my parents, and they both said it'd be fine, and that's what we wanted. So there we go. We got the end of chapter 20, which was engaged in wedding plans. And then the next one we'll start on tomorrow will be chapter 21, and that's back upstairs and Christmas. That'll be an interesting chapter.
Oh, when you say we'll move upstairs, kick a hard walk, yeah.
So let's talk about that. How many minutes we got?
3 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right, so before I read the chapter, we'll start that tomorrow. So you decided that you asked Mr. Horeb, who's attended upstairs, to leave.
Yeah,
He was a very kind man.
yeah.
And he built the house across the
Yeah,
street.
yeah,
And Mr. Horeb stayed there to the end of his life.
yeah.
And he worked with you?
Horrible?
Yeah.
No. I forget what the hell he did. He didn't work in Kimberly, no.
Oh, okay. And so you decided he went very happily because your mother was treating him right all these years.
Yeah.
And so tell us what you had to do to the apartment to make it, ready for you two.
Oh, well, that was a month, yeah.
What'd you have to do to it?
Well, I had to clean it up, took all the carpets up, put new rugs in, clean up, sand all woodwork down, varnish and slack it up and everything. I had to do a lot of work in the kitchen.
What'd you have to do in the kitchen?
I had to take all the old metal cabinets out, put wood ones in, new fresh cabinets and that. Same thing with the sink, I had to put a new sink in there.
Did Delphine help you?
Well, she was shopping around what she wanted. She wanted, well, get this, get that, do that, and all that nonsense.
And did you paint the whole place?
Huh?
Did you paint the whole place?
I paint the whole place, yeah.
Who did the carpet?
Who did the carpet? We had the Mendelson come and do the carpet.
They did a nice job.
Oh, yeah. Did the whole thing in one day. Well, 2 hours.
And where'd you park your cars?
Where did I park the car? I parked the car in the front of the house.
But how about in the garage?
Well, I had the trailer in the garage.
So you had to park it.
I didn't build that lean-to next to it. That's where I put the truck.
Oh, the carport.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
came in handy.
Yeah.
Minutes?
Minute and a half.
That carport came in
Yeah,
handy.
yeah.
Without that, your big white truck would have been rusted out.
Oh, yeah.
That saved it.
And then when I was plowing, I backed that thing up and left the plow outside, dropped
Wasn't
it.
that tight to back in because the alley was so...
Well, I couldn't stand by the grass over on the other side.
Oh, okay. So you whipped the house into shape, and how long was your honeymoon for?
It was 7 days.
That was nice.
Yeah, Poconos, yeah.
It wasn't really cold.
It wasn't too bad. We had a nice cabin, nice heated cabin, and then we walked to the dining room next door.
And they had good dinners?
We had good dinners, yeah. So we went back there with the kids a couple times, and we went back there with Sally had her eye.
No kidding. So you've been back to the Poconos
Couple
since?
times, yeah.
That was a nice treat. That was very
Yeah.
nice.
50 seconds.
That was nice. Did you ever go there during the summer?
Well, in the summertime, yeah.
That must have been beautiful.
Yeah, it was nice up there, yeah. I was gonna buy a house up there too.
You should have. That would have been a beautiful
Yeah,
situation.
that was not gonna work. There was no employment around there.
Yeah, I know. It's all vacation. You're right. You're right. But that'd be a beautiful
It was
place.
out in the rural area.
That'd be a beautiful place to live. It really would be. And did your Volkswagen make it there okay?
Oh yeah.
Not much heat though, right?
So we got to go 90 miles an hour getting the heat.
That's a Volkswagen for you.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Yeah, you gotta get those Volkswagens going fast to blow it.
I taught Delphine how to drive. She shifted gears and everything else.
But she learned how.
Yeah, because she wasn't familiar with the clutch.